important challenge, has the opportunity to prove his mettle, and does. Denver quarterback John Elway is the outstanding athlete, and Monday night against Buffalo was the challenge. Fourth quarter, second and long, the opportunity, and John Elway seized it. A tackle-breaking run that measured his greatness. Elway advanced 31 yards to smother Buffalo's comeback hopes. Today's challenge is the Los Angeles Raiders. Will the opportunity arise, and can Elway seize it again? Today in Denver, we'll enjoy the answers.
NBC Sports presents the National Football League. Today, it's the Los Angeles Raiders versus the Denver Broncos.
A glorious early autumn Sunday in the Rocky Mountains, 80 degrees in Mile High Stadium, 76,000 strong, to see the Denver Broncos surprisingly 2-0 with a totally rebuilt team, 18 new faces against the Raiders, a team in controversy regarding their coach Mike Shanahan. The reality is, though, they just don't stop the run.
Well, they're 1-1, so it's not that bad, but it doesn't look good. They're not stopping the run. For 20 years, they dominated defense. They dominated football. Now they're getting unraveled with a running game. On the other hand, the Broncos have a newfound attack. Run the football. Take the pressure off Elway. Put the pressure on the Raider defense.
And the Raiders defense will rest at the start because they've won the toss and will receive. David Treadwell, who has replaced Richard Carlos as the kicker for the Broncos, sends it on its way. Stephon Adams gives it to Bobby Joe Edmonds, the new Raider. Edmonds, a former Seahawk. And he had daylight, tripped up at the 25-yard line. And here come the Raiders and their quarterback, Jay Schrader. Rory Graves, John Giesick, Turk Wright, and Wilkerson in that offensive line. Two veterans injured, center and guard. Schrader with Allen and Smith. Willie Gauld and Mervyn Fernandez. Mike Dial is the tight end. When they go to four wide receivers, we'll see Mike Alexander and Timmy Ware. Partisan crowd certainly is part of Denver's great home field record. They've lost only 13 times in 9 years that Dan Reeves has been the head coach here at Mile High. Schrader looking long. He goes long, but to the sidelines. Willie Gault was the intended receiver. The defense of the Broncos, and a lot of new names in the Denver uniform this year. Alfonso Carricker, Greg Cragen, and Andre Towns in the front three. Brooks, Dennison, Mecklenburg, and Fletcher, those familiar linebacker names. When they go to the nickel defense, those four men in white go out and come back in a different position. You'll see Holmes, a former Buccaneer, Carricker, Mecklenburg, Fletcher, Corrington, Haynes, and Robbins with the same four defensive backs. We'll show you those after this play. 2nd and 10 from the 25. Schrader changing plays at the line of scrimmage. And the handoff to Steve Smith, the fullback. And this is a smothering, aggressive defense of the new defensive coordinator, Wade Phillips. Steve Atwater and Michael Brooks, two new names in on the tackle. And Atwater, one of those four deep backs. Tyrone Braxton, Wyman Henderson, two new cornerbacks. Dennis Smith, an old name, and Steve Atwater has replaced Mike Harden. Harden now is in the uniform of the Los Angeles Raiders today.
Well, the Raiders are going to have to pick their spots against this defense. So far this year, 1-1, but they haven't had any of that consistency you need. So they're going to have to find their way through this defense.
Schrader from the shotgun on 3rd and 9. Gets away from the rush and hits Marcus Allen at the 40-yard line, of first down. And quite a play by Schrader, first to avoid the sack and then on the run to hit his talented receiver running back Marcus Allen.
Well,
Allen,
something showed up there, Dick. Yeah, something showed up there. The pass rush was right on top of him. This has really worried Dan Reeves prior to the game.
Number 60, moving at the snap, 3rd down.
So they bring it back. Rory Graves was moving in his attempts to block for Schrader, so that first down pass nullified, and it'll now be 3rd and 14 for Schrader.
Well, look for that pass rush. Dan Reeves is really concerned about it. They're stopping the run, but they haven't gotten the quickness they need coming up the field in the pass rush. That last play, they were there. They forced Schrader out of the pocket.
Reeves Broncos didn't stop the run last year. They're first in the league after 2 games this season. Gets Mueller in motion. They like to throw to him. He has good speed. Down the middle, wide open as Fernandez fumbles the ball. And the Broncos do not recover. It goes out of bounds on the Raiders sidelines, and they maintain possession with a first down at the 39-yard line.
Fernandez is just going to cross the field deep against the zone defense. You'll notice with Schrader, he's going to have room to throw the ball. Right up the middle, he'll step into an open area and find his spots. I don't know if he really had the ball there, Dick.
Kip Corrington was the man who made the hit, and then Randy Robbins could not fall on the ball. There was no control, so it goes back to last possession. The Raiders get the first down at the 40-yard line. 19-yard play. And apparently they're reviewing it on instant replay as to whether or not indeed that was a completed pass.
They better take a close look at that. It didn't look like he really had control of it.
There's young Shanahan, 37 years old, by far the youngest coach in the NFL. Sam Weich at 44 is 7 years older, and the next youngest is Weich.
Well, the key to Shanahan, no question he's got the talent to be a head coach. He demonstrated to us the ability to express himself. He's cool under pressure. He's thinking clearly. He has knowledge of the game, but did he get the job too early? He's 36. At 46, you know he'd be ready. At this stage of things, there's so many things that happen out of his control he has to deal with. A pretty tough job.
What would you have been like at 36 as a head coach?
I'd have been scared to death, Dick. I'd have said, go out for a long one.
They're still looking at the replay, the officials, and so we will as well.
There's Fernandez. He had the ball. I'm sure they'll call that a completion.
Second foot did appear to be down just as he was hit.
After further review, the play stands. First down.
Jerry Mark Bright, the referee today, so it is first down Raiders at the 40. Couple of good plays made by Schrader on 3rd and long.
Well, he looks better than he's looked in the past. His problem is that intermediate ball. His accuracy on the intermediate ball, that was well thrown, that previous one to Fernandez.
Play action, Schrader. What a catch. Did he have control at the 40? Willie Gault. Yes, he did. 20 more yards for the Raiders. And now they say no. The official moves in and says no, he did not have control when the ball hit the ground. He was still juggling.
That was beautifully timed. Beautifully timed. 1st and 10. They took the play fake. Gee, that looked close, too. I guess when he hit the ground, he lost it.
I was using the ground to bring the ball back into possession, so that was a good call.
Well, the Raiders are attacking. There isn't any question about that. They're not going to feel out the Broncos. They know they have to make things happen early.
Mike Shanahan, who was Dan Reeves' offensive coordinator. His strength comes from that side of the ball.
Well, Dan recommended Mike Shanahan very strongly, but with one question: is he ready at this time? No question, he was a top assistant, excellent offensive coordinator. Elway depended heavily on him, but to take a head coaching job with an organization like the Raiders, where you have to be on the money because you've got veteran football players that expect a lot of their coach. You're not just a manager.
Review, the play stands incomplete. Second down.
So back-to-back instant replay reviews, and the play stands again. And another nice delay. That gives me time to give you a score from Philadelphia. 31-28 San Francisco leads with 3 minutes to go as the 49ers, rallying from 28-17 down, have taken the lead on back-to-back Montana touchdown passes.
No question, Philadelphia blitzed one too many times.
2nd down and 10. That's Dial, the tight end, in motion. The toss to Marcus Allen. And Allen, the all-time rusher in Raider history, has about 7 before he's knocked out of bounds at the 47-yard line.
It was a beautiful block by Steve Smith on the linebacker. He just chopped him down.
Smith, who blocked for D.J. Dozier at Penn State before being drafted by the Raiders 2 years ago in the 3rd round. And he has done some damage to the Broncos. Last year, Denver fans will well recall leading 24-0 at the half. Second half, the Raiders came back, forced overtime and won, and Smith had a couple of key touchdowns in that game. 3rd and 3. Out of the backfield is Smith, and he has the first down at the Denver 43-yard line.
Well, we had good protection that time again for Schrader. I can understand Dan Reeves' point because his defenders are not getting off the blockers. There's no real pressure on top of it. And just a man in the flat, easy enough. Up the field he goes. Now, one thing about Smith, he's developed into a good pass receiver, an excellent blocker, and he carries the ball just enough to keep the defense honest. And that keeps the heat off Marcus, because, as you know, Marcus is one of the great campaigners in the game today, Marcus Allen.
And a marked man for every defense in the league. So another first down for the Raiders. As they take the opening kickoff and have now marched into Denver territory. Michael Brooks can't get Schrader, misses him a second time, and finally down he goes at the 45. That'll go as a sack. Michael Brooks, talk about frustration. He had 2 shots at Schrader and couldn't nail him either time.
Well, he blitzed right up underneath everything. Nobody to block him. A play pass, the back was supposed to come across, couldn't make the play. Schrader shows a lot of poise. You know, he's 4 years behind Elway in experience. He was in minor league baseball 4 years. Elway was 2 years at Stanford, 2 years with the Broncos before Schrader even attempted football. 9 games as a college football player, 9 games at UCLA up to his sophomore year. So he's made tremendous progress.
Second down and 12. Fernandez, the only man that's wide. He's to the near side, and now Marcus to the other. Fumble, and Denver recovers. Rick Dennison. Oh, you don't see many mishandling of a snap like that where it just shoots right to the defense. Wade Phillips, the Bronco defensive coordinator, the son of former head coach at Houston, New Orleans, Bum Phillips. Boy, that's a gift.
Looks like Schrader was concentrating downfield, just took his mind off taking that snap.
And Dan Trick, the center, kicked it forward, it appeared, right to the Broncos. Yep, there's Turk, and unintentionally.
Well, we'll see a new Bronco offense now. New offense, 2 tight ends.
Elway. Down the middle. Incomplete to Clarence Kay as tight end. Zeph Lee, the safety, the man replacing the late Stacy Turan. They'll work on him. Let's look at the Denver offensive unit with Elway running the show. What a great player he is. Perry, Bishop, Karts, Jariga, Lanier. Those 5 men are 16 pounds heavier per man than the team that blocked for Elway last year. Winder, they've got a big fullback in Alexander, Jackson and Johnson and Kay, familiar receivers. When they go to 4 wide out, you'll see Steve Sewell and Michael Young. As you know, Ricky Nattiel placed on the injured reserve list. He'll not play now for 6 weeks. He has a fracture of the kneecap. From Alabama to the 45-yard line, a short gain, and here's the Raider defense. Cal, Golick, and Wise in a rebuilt defense. Injuries have just been a common malady, and when they make their shifts, those men go out. Townsend, Piquel, Davis, and Wise will form a 4-man line with Benson, the only linebacker. Mike Haynes and Eddie Anderson come in as the extra defensive backs to join McDaniel, Washington, Lee, and Dan McElroy.
Van McElroy is a safety that plays linebacker. That last play right into the middle of the tackle, he's been really the thing to save the Raiders' running game.
Flags are down. Elway has a free play. Or does he? Contact before the ball was snapped is the call. Or were the Raiders drawn offside?
Elway's got an excellent hit, Bob Dick. Excellent. He can pull people off. He's done it his entire career.
Full start, number 72, offense.
It goes against the center, Keith Karts, and the 5 yards back to the 40-yard line.
Well, here we'll get just a slight movement of his head. I didn't really see anything, to be honest with you, from here in the replay.
Bob Golick, who charged offside, apparently pointed out something.
He pointed out he's the veteran. He knows about how to approach a referee.
Raiders very, very happy with Golick's performance, a Plan B free agent from Cleveland. 3rd and 13. Elway. It's a first down at the Raider 41-yard line to Steve Sewell. Steve Sewell from Oklahoma, a #1 pick of the Broncos 4 years ago. Now he's going to be used almost primarily now as a receiver.
Well, he's just reverted to that as the years have passed, but now with the injury to Natil, he'll take that job. Steve came out of Oklahoma as a running back and flanker, and people couldn't decide what to do with him. Denver took him, I believe, as a running back. That didn't work out. He's been an exceptional receiver as a spot player.
If you want to know the best movies around town, ask Sewell. He's an avid buff and really a very discerning one. Bobby Humphrey, the man that the Broncos are very excited about, is held at just about 3. Golick and Benson make the tackle.
Humphrey's an interesting case in himself. Coming out in that supplemental draft, had poor workouts. 2 times he broke his foot. A lot of people passed him up. Denver took a shot at him, and now they have potentially a premier running back.
2nd down, 7. Melvin Breton is in the lineup. He too, in essence, a rookie, although drafted last year by Miami, didn't play, had a knee injury. And it's Breton with the ball. He almost broke it. To the 30-yard line goes the big guy from the University of Miami of Florida. Lionel Washington saved the touchdown.
Bratton's got that power. They've never had a big fullback at Denver. They've just gerrymandered their way around. The fullback's been John Elway. Now they've got Bratton, they've got Alexander, and they're using him. Now, that was a trap play. He had to break 2 tackles.
Jeff Alexander weighs 232 and Melvin Bratton 225. It is a Denver team that has made some wholesale changes on both sides of the ball.
Well, they're going to take the pressure off Elway, I think, Dick, with this running game. Everywhere John's been, he's been expected to carry his team. Now he's got a running game.
It is a first down. John Elway, you talked about his size, and he is big, 6'3" and 215, and has the best career rushing average of anyone in a Bronco uniform, 4.6 average. Sewell and Winder under 4.
I think you'll see John running less now, and his running backs carrying the ball. That'll be a real changeup. That'll really, he'll profit from it. His career will be extended, and he'll really reach that greatness that comes with experience.
No score, first quarter, 8:26 remaining. Sammy Winder, a little delay, and he weaves his way inside the 25.
Great job of pulling by Gerald Perry, the left tackle, right up through the hole. Beautiful shot. Now we're going to get a pull right up through the hole by Perry. Both these people pulling and trapping with the counter play, and you'll see some excellent movement by both people. Watch Perry right up through the field, 60, right up into his man. And, of course, we get a break off of it, and Winder gets a chance to make extra yards.
6 yards for Winder, 2nd down and 4. And tripped up in the backfield is Jeff Alexander back at the 29-yard line. They had trouble getting that one underway. Alexander, who played at Southern University. Joe Montana has now thrown 5 touchdown passes, 68 and 70 yards among them. And you see now the 49ers, the middle score, ahead by 10 at Philadelphia. Buffalo and Houston in a scoring fest. Pittsburgh has beaten Minnesota. What an upset there. The Bears remain unbeaten, and it's the Giants smothering Phoenix. Phoenix had been 2-0. Washington apparently will win its first. Tampa Bay is 2-1, and Indianapolis wins its first of the year. That's Michael Young in motion. He was going forward. That's a penalty. So by Elway, incomplete. Intended for Mark Jackson, and Terry McDaniel knocked it away. But Michael Young was moving upfield, the man in motion, before the ball was snapped.
He just turned upfield, anxious to get up the field. In that case, he can't hear John talking, Elway talking, and he can't be totally sure when the ball is going to be snapped. So you see him bending up the field prior to the snap.
We have illegal contact, number 22, defense. Penalties offset, 3rd down.
At the same time, there was an illegal contact against the Raiders, so that's a no play. Mike Haynes, the veteran, who was released by Los Angeles at the end of the summer and then re-signed in a budgetary move by Al Davis, as his contract, a large one, over $800,000 reportedly, carved about in half. But he says, I'll make up for it by getting to the Super Bowl. But what a great player he's been.
He's been a great one. Now, this is a gerrymandered front 4 rushing for the Raiders. Mike Shanahan said before the game he had a special blitz. He thought we'd get there, and it's going to get there. There it is.
But Elway breaks away his strength and gets a block, and he's going to go all the way for a finish. Yeah, we started today and welcoming you to Denver, talking about the greatness of that man, John Elway. And it gives you shivers when great players do great things, and Elway doesn't disappoint you often. David Treadwell, the new kicker, he hasn't missed a field goal or a PAT. And Denver, after the fumble recovery, gets the first score of the game. John Elway, 29 yards.
We're getting a blitz. John's going to come forward and make people miss, then work up the field. McElroy had a sack. Almost made it. I know the Raiders had worked on this figure, and they knew the pass protection. McElroy almost there. Now look at this talent. This man is not only a great athlete, but those instincts are there.
Set up the blockers. He set up two great blocks on the way to that touchdown. Let's see Elway from ground level.
Watch him avoid people. Two people have to miss. Now when he starts for that goal line, he's a load.
Now after the fumble recovery on the bad snap, Elway gets his team in the end zone. Dan Reeves said, you want to talk about extending that long-term contract? What a player.
Well, he told us that 11 years might do it. I think that takes him to this present contract. But the way Denver's developing as a team, John can play longer because he won't have quite that pressure. Every league that he's played in, high school, college, pro, he's had to carry his team. It may not be the case now.
Treadwell down to Bobby Joe Edmonds. And Edmonds hit right at the 20, and down goes a flag. Usually against the return team for illegal use of the hands. And the Broncos, who are 2-0, using the turnover in their wins against Kansas City and Buffalo, have used the fumble recovery to set up their first score today.
Illegal block, number 33, on the return, first down.
Eddie Anderson and Mike Shanahan's Raiders will start about at the 10-yard line. Before the game, not counting the fumble recovery for Denver today, it was Cleveland, and they're the only other AFC team that has won the first two games, a +11. And then updated, counting the touchdown just scored, the Broncos 41 of 69, nearly 60% of their points, the result of getting the ball on interception or fumbles. From the 9. A draw to Marcus Allen. And what an effort by Allen, who fumbles, but I believe he was down. He was marked down at the 15-yard line, a 6-yard gain for Allen.
Marcus has been a great campaigner, one of the great players in the league, but more importantly, what a competitor. And he's had to carry his team in a sense. He's one of the few people left from the glory days of the Raiders.
There are his numbers, more rushes and more yardage than any Raider in history, still averaging over 4, 62 touchdowns rushing, and you add to that another 15 receptions, has 79 touchdowns in his career, more than any Raider. Allen again, picking his hole and picking up the first down with it to the 21-yard line, a half dozen more for Marcus. Marcus Allen, as you look at him, there's another man on the Denver sidelines watching his every move, Bobby Humphrey.
Bobby Humphrey, from a youngster, just watching television. They're both built the same running style, and as this day progresses, you'll see Bobby have his shots at running like that smooth, easy, striding, instinctive kind of running. And Humphreys is a young Marcus Allen in a sense.
He said, that was my idol growing up in Birmingham. On first down, Steve Smith, the fullback, gets a couple, maybe 3 out to the 23 or 4-yard line. Greg Cragen, who led the Broncos in tackles last year at his nose position, makes the hit. There's Cragen from Utah State.
It helped the defense. Cragen has played well, but Carricker coming in. Townsend, big people in that defensive line, working with Mecklenburg and Dennison. They're much stronger inside than they've been. And of course, they're stopping the run better.
Instead of the schemes and the tricks that the Bronco defense was famous for under Joe Collier, who won games with mirrors with the talent he had, this is a more aggressive and certainly a bigger defense. Schrader, plenty of time. Ooh, right through the hands of the tight end Mike Dial and almost into the Broncos, Simon Fletcher.
Well, Mecklenburg was coming off the corner that time. He was well blocked by Graves, but that's a good story in itself too, Dick. Here's Mecklenburg, Carl Mecklenburg, now in the vintage years of his career. He came in as a late pick, came out of Minnesota. Prior to that, Augustana College, but in his junior year of high school, he was a junior varsity player. Wasn't big enough, didn't have the skills. And just by his tenacity, he's come all the way up to becoming a premier football player. Right now, he's at the defensive right end for Denver. He's going to pass rush.
That's a nice inspirational story for every young player. Fumble by Schrader, and the Broncos may have taken it away. Guess who? Mecklenburg.
Well, the snap was mishandled, but Mecklenburg had so much push and drive, he put Graves right back into the quarterback.
And then with Schrader going for the ball, Mecklenburg was just a bit quicker and a bit stronger in getting it.
That ball was there. He went for it. One of the problems Graves has had, number 60 for the Raiders, offensive tackle, he hasn't had the foot quickness thus far.
Well, at 4:25 remaining in the first quarter, the Broncos leading 7-0, presented with another outstanding opportunity. Here's Humphrey. And he's all the way to the 3-yard line. There's something you didn't see often from Denver, a sweep.
I think that's the first time I've seen that sweep run by Denver in Reeves' history. What we've got is a block here, both guards out via San Francisco style, and they just break that entire corner. Humphrey gives them the speed to get this done. Flanker blocks down. There's your fullback, Alexander. Both guards pulling, and Humphreys just skirts that in using his speed. Now, that's a totally different look for Denver. And again, I'm a big Elway fan. That's going to take the heat off John Elway.
Yeah, Marcus Allen said, hey, I might be idolizing his work, Bobby Humphrey. First and goal, Denver at the 4. Fullback Alexander straightened up at the 1-yard line on a solid hit. Eddie Anderson came up to meet him and deny the touchdown.
Just a straight shot right up the middle. One man to do it. Anderson had to make a heck of a tackle to get that done. Again, you've got a big fullback now, 230 pounds, in Alexander. Again, they've had to do it in a sense with tactics at Denver in the past. Now they can just take you on physically.
Yeah, undersized both offensively and defensively, and still made it to 2 Super Bowls. Elway looks at the formation and calls timeout with 3:49 remaining in this opening quarter.
You know, that's really a credit to Joe Collier, who's no longer with Denver as a coordinator. He never had the personnel that the Giants had, or the 49ers, or the Bears on defense. He, as you said earlier, Dick, he almost did it with mirrors and tactics.
Wade Phillips has replaced Collier. Collier and his staff fired at the end of last season. Phillips, better known as, in fact, he says, I got a nickname. They call me SOB, son of bum. And everyone thought that it was just because of bum his dad that he was in football. This is a sharp football mind.
Well, he came from a football family naturally. He was in coaching high school at age 24, in pro football in Houston as an assistant at age 28. So he's got that lineage of football, that experience, but he teaches good, simple, fundamental football. Now that the Denver team has those kinds of athletes, they can thrive on his kind of defense.
A good example would be Michael Brooks, who's the starting linebacker, number 56. We'll see him later. He was a man who couldn't quite conjure up the mental part of Collier's defensive schemes, but is a terrific, aggressive player under Phillips. Second and goal. Alexander carries the man with him into the end zone for a touchdown. There's a difference between Alexander, 232, and a 200-pound back that used to try to get it in for the Broncos. The big guy just carried in the defender.
That's so important. In the past, they've had to go to Elway, play passing, or bootlegging. And if they can make this breakthrough at Denver, then they're right back in the Super Bowl picture.
Treadwell's try for point. And it's 14-0 Denver. 2 fumble recoveries equal 14 points.
We've got a replay with the guard pulling to the outside. A super block by Humphrey. Yeah, that's Humphrey. No, that's Winder. Super block by Winder. Then Alexander just breaks through Anderson's tackle.
And Mike Shanahan can't do much about it when you leave the ball on the ground. And the Broncos have capitalized and lead 14-0.
Well, the wheels are turning for Shanahan right now. He's looking at 14-0. He's going to have to put things together a little quicker than he'd hoped. Going to have to get the ball in the air. And Bobby Joe Evans, by the way, Dick's going to have to make a play. He's a super return man. And he's got that speed. He's got that persistence. He's going to have to make a play to get field position at least once during this game.
Well, last year, in the first game between these two teams here at Mile High, Denver did the same thing. They jumped out to a 24-0 lead at the end of the first half and didn't win. And Shanahan won both games against his former head coach Reeves, winning 21-20 in the Coliseum for the sweep. Treadwell spins this one a little shorter, and it's to Stephon Adams at the 9. Flags are down as Adams gets it to the 28-yard line, and Kip Corrington, Texas A&M, makes the tackle while they sort out the penalty. Let's bring you up to date on the other scores today. In the fourth, Buffalo leading Houston 41-38. Final 49ers on 5 Montana touchdown passes. Seattle wins its first 24-3 at New England. The upset of the day, the Steelers over Minnesota. The Bears outscore Detroit. And the Giants hand Phoenix its first loss. Washington has its first win. Tampa Bay is 2-1. Indianapolis has its initial victory. Late games, Jets lead Miami in the first. San Diego 7-3 against Kansas City at home, and the Rams, a good-looking team. We saw them last week beat Indianapolis, lead 10-0 at home against the Packers. So you're right up to date. Here it's 14-0 Denver with 3:36 remaining in the first quarter.
What do you think they're saying about Chuck Noll now? Come right back with that win. Minnesota is supposedly a Super Bowl contender. Great win for Chuck Noll.
And the Vikings lose their second in a row. Fernandez in motion, and Smith the fullback, and a flag goes down. Greg Cragen was down in the bottom of the pile for Denver.
It's going to take a first down pass here pretty quick by the Raiders. They can get their 4 and 5 this way, but they've got the length of the field to travel. It's going to take a pass. It's that simple.
I'm sorry, there was no flag. It appeared the official reached in and started to throw. Trainer throwing it a mile to Galt and overthrows him. Boy, does he have an arm? Almost too much. He overthrew him last week at Kansas City, and Galt sprinting clear. But that ball thrown on a line, there was no room for Galt to maneuver under it. It was a bullet all the way.
That is so tough because Galt's speed, Schrader's arm, Dennis Smith wasn't near the deep middle. The ball was beyond it, all the way down the field. But again, you have to hit those kind of things. And Dennis learned something real fast right there.
With 1 second left, Tony Zendejas has kicked a 26-yard field goal for Houston, and that game's in overtime. Buffalo and Houston at 41. to the tight end dial, incomplete. Could not hang on to it. So 14-0 to the delight of these Denver fans. So let's go to New York and Bob Costas.
Dick, this is the game you were talking about a moment ago. 3 seconds on the clock. Tony Zendejas from 52 yards out. He drills it home with plenty to spare in a game that'll take about a half hour to recap. It's been so wild once it's finally over. 41 all. They go to overtime in the House of Pain. It's a beauty.
So we're going to try to get permission from the National Football League front office to extend the halftime show to 45 minutes just to get in half the scores today. It comes down to Ken Bell, and Bell is hit at the 47-yard line. Jeff Gossett's kick, 46 yards. Let's duck in some baseball scores of note, importance, as the pennant races come down to the final weeks. Baltimore a game back at Toronto, trailing the Yankees in the 9th. Toronto and Milwaukee tied at 2 in the 6th. Oakland apparently is going to make it, but it's not locked up yet. They lead Minnesota, while Kansas City and California are winning, but the Angels are 4.5 back, the Royals 5.5 out. Good field position again for Denver. Winder. He's to the Raider 45, a gain of nearly 8.
Well, that's the heart of the Raider defense is weak. Golick is playing excellent football, going down the line of scrimmage to plays, but both his linebackers, Shipp and Benson, aren't attacking the guards when the guards come out to block them. We saw that in previous 2 games. There's all kind of running lanes up behind Golick on either side of him as he tries to go down the line of scrimmage. Basically, what we're seeing is we've got a great player, or at least a very good player in Golick, very, very average players at this point in both those inside linebackers.
Second down 3. Tries a deep one to Jackson. Touchdown. Third touchdown pass of the year, and his longest, 46 yards to Mark Jackson, right on the money. Al Davis in the crowded press box area.
Well, when we talked about McElroy earlier, we said linebacker safety. He's been coming up to make these stops at middle open when he came forward on that play pass.
David Treadwell just does skid that one through the right side. It's 21-0.
It's a great shot down the field. Now Washington will get in trouble. He's basically in a zone defense. He's turned and see he finally has to react inside, but there isn't any weak safety. He doesn't show up. He doesn't show up. There's the big play. That's a great catch, too.
It appeared Washington was in position to move in and make the defensive play, and Elway had just enough arm to put it out of the defender's reach. (21-0) with 1 minute 43 seconds left in the first quarter, and do they love it in Denver?
The Raiders had better start passing, Dick. Can get a long afternoon unless they can make a play or two.
Bobby Joe Edmonds.
Bobby Joe had better do it right now.
And Stephon Adams are deep as Schrader thinks through his game plan. Treadwell hits one to the near side to Edmonds, and they'll take the touchback at the 20.
We're going to get a post pattern here, Dick. McElroy's going to be looking the other way with a good play fake inside. We're going to have a big hole in the defense with Washington isolated down that field. See McElroy just turn his back. Now it's too late. And that's a concentration catch because Washington reached in just a little bit early.
Mark Jackson, really a happy-go-lucky guy. He's got one of those terrific smiles. And He's got that enthusiasm, almost naivete of a young man. He says, but you know, for the first time, I think I'm a veteran. I can actually say I'm a veteran. I feel like I'm a part of this whole thing, and it's not just a dream.
Well, the confidence oozed out of him.
Screen to Marcus, and he's got some blockers. And dives out to the 30-yard line. It'll be, depending on the mark, close to a first down.
Think of Marcus now. When Bo Jackson returns, Marcus is now a fullback. And this great campaigner who gives it everything he's got throughout the game, throughout the season, in a sense has carried his team when they've lost some of that great talent over the years. He's going to have to play fullback in a few weeks. And I can't say that it's the wrong thing to do, but Marcus has to be a big guy to be able to accept that.
Go down. Boy, getting a little serious in there now. '68 Rory Graves and '71 Greg Cragen of the Broncos.
Well, the Raiders are going to have to keep their poise at this point. You can get frustrated down by 3 touchdowns and take things personally, but they're going to have to keep their poise.
Mike Shanahan went through a tough preseason, lost all 4 of the Raider games, then came out, won on opening day impressively against the Chargers, 40-14, lost a tough one. They could have won last week at Kansas City, at least that's how they felt. A drive at the end of the game by the Chiefs won it, 60 yards of the drive on penalties. And Shanahan, the rumors in Los Angeles have been frequent that he is in trouble.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 32, offense. It's still first down.
Well, Marcus Allen didn't like what happened, and he apparently, after being tackled, let's see, does he kick? Yes, he kicks Greg. Oh, right in the face he kicks Cragen. We're playing that back and forth. He didn't kick him that many times.
No, I hope not.
Boy, that'd be like a Sugar Ray Leonard jab.
Yeah, Mike Tyson uppercut.
So nothing going right for the Raiders.
Well, Shanahan is accepting and absorbing so much heat. And I think he's handling it as well as it can be handled. And he's keeping his poise.
First down and 25 after a 15-yard penalty. Screen to Allen, and Mecklenburg gets him. The end of the first quarter in Denver, and all orange 15 minutes.
Well, that is personifies what's happening with Denver right now. You see Mecklenburg's drop, good position, the ball's thrown, nobody to block him, screen pass, people are out there late, just ill-timed screen pass. And of course, when you start doubling up on screen passes, Denver senses it, they're all over him.
Oh, Mecklenburg, a Pro Bowler, makes the big play defensively at the end of the first quarter, and the Raiders now trailing 21-0, look for a new direction to go, and they'll start from the other end of the field. Davis, the general partner, who's been a coach, a commissioner, the owner, the manager, and they say he's been drawing plays and sending them down to the sidelines. Do you believe that?
Well, I'm not sure he did that, but I'll tell you this, the formula works. He's had 3 Super Bowl wins, 4 Super Bowl appearances with this formula. So it couldn't be that bad. He's the most knowledgeable man in the game today. When you took the comprehensive part of football from the briefest and simplest skill to the most important administrative areas of it.
But with that comes some luggage as well. You know that you're going to be the head coach, that he's going to do a lot of the coaching with you. He's not going to leave you totally alone.
No, he's always done that. He's got a great football mind, but it puts tremendous stress on the staff. They have to understand it. When he makes requests, they're directions, and they come at any time in the week. They're always very good, but it takes someone else to implement them. But Tom Flores lived with it, won 2 World Championships. John Madden developed as a great coach under Al Davis. So you can't say that it's all bad. But the problem with it, when you take a very young man like Mike Shanahan and put him under that heat. That's when you have your problems. Can Mike handle it?
It's interesting, both Madden and Flores have called Shanahan this season saying, hey, it's no different than when we were there. Hang in there. I mean, we went through it too.
And it can be gut-wrenching to have that heat because you know the man's virtually always right when it comes to football.
Second down and plenty. First play of the second quarter. Schrader to Allen. Out to the 22. They get some of the yardage back, and that'll bring up third down about 8.
Well, Reeves, of course, Dan Reeves thinks so much of Mike Shanahan. He had a lot to do with their early success because even offensively, they had Elway, some skilled people, but really it was concept, and Shanahan had a lot to do with it. But again, as I indicated earlier, Dan Reeves was concerned about Mike's Shanahan's maturity, if you call it that, his exposure to the game. He'd only had 4 years of NFL football before he became head coach of the Los Angeles Raiders.
But that third down and 19, remember that 15-yard penalty against Allen has made it really tough. Schrader, lots of time. And he buys some more, gets it to Steve Smith. And Smith out to the 34. That won't be a first down. Steve Atwater, number 27, the top pick of the Broncos out of the University of Arkansas, made the tackle.
And Atwater is a player. He was considered really behind Oliver the second best defensive back in this last draft.
Deion Sanders and this man.
Right, and then you'd meet him, and you'd really get an appreciation for what he could do for your team. He's bright. He's a college graduate in banking and business. But more importantly, he's got leadership qualities.
Jeff Gossett sends a tailing spiral to Ken Bell. He has trouble, and he's hit just as he catches the ball. He did not call for a fair catch at the 17-yard line. Stephon Adams there for the Raiders. 50-yard punt by Gossett. Boy, the kickers love this place. They figure you're good for another 5-7 yards on field goals and punts when you kick in this high altitude.
These guys returning those punts, Dick, know that ball's going to soar. It's going to take a while to get there, and that coverage is right down underneath it.
Skyline of Denver, Colorado. What a glorious day it is. 80 degrees as you look at the other scores. And there's the big one. Buffalo-Houston, the first game of our NBC doubleheader for much of the country. Tied at 41 in overtime. There are the late games. 21-0 Denver. And the fullback Alexander out across the 20. Bill Pickel tripped him up.
Again, they're breaking behind Golick, and they're going to do it all day because they're not getting people filling. Neither Shipp or Benson's going to have to fill that backside hole when Golick starts down the line of scrimmage. They're breaking back, getting a 4 or 5 quick yards before the safety, McElroy, or one of those people get up to make the stop.
In other words, when Golick makes his charge, whether it be left or right, and rides down the line of scrimmage and occupying the blockers, somebody's got to come in on his backside, one of those linebackers, and fill. On 2nd and 7, a delay. Oh, my! Winder has popped as Tom Benson, number 54, he filled. He saw a hole and shot through. Benson from Oklahoma, Plan B free agent from New England.
Well, the Raiders have tried to help their team to refurbish it with Plan B people. Emmanuel King, Benson, Golick, Shipp, all these people are Plan B, become free agents with other clubs, sign for big bonuses. That's really not going to get it done championship-wise, but I guess it can buy some time until you really get the young, really talented players.
And some of your other star players who are injured. In fairness to Shanahan, this defense is really riddled with injury problems. The key players. Elway again escapes the rush. Anderson comes up to run him out of bounds. And that'll be shy of a first down at the 22-23. There's one of the men not playing today, Howie Long, one of the great down linemen, 5 times in the Pro Bowl. He has a bad ankle. It just won't improve. He's terribly frustrated. He didn't know when he's going to be able to really play. Tried to play last week and re-injured it. Jerry Robinson, he's on the sidelines, not in uniform. Their best linebacker. They lost Stacy Turan, a top-notch young safety in the tragic auto accident this summer. So you take 3 of your 4 best players. You only have Greg Townsend being the 4th out of that defense. It's like taking your number 3, 4, and 5 hitters out of a baseball lineup.
Well, there's a lot of truth to it, but I'll tell you, in the case of Howie Long, in the case of Robinson, they played a lot of football. You can almost assume they're going to have minor injuries at this part of their career.
Horan hits a high one. Oh, to Edmonds at the 21. And he returns out to the 34, maybe the 35, about 14 yards on the run back before Pat Kelly can make the tackle. A 56-yard punt by Mike Horan, who was a Pro Bowler last year.
You know, Howie Long is an example, Dick. They're trying to play him. They need him desperately. But if Howie Long were to get 4 weeks out of football and get that thing taken care of, that ankle, let it completely heal up and remain in condition, I think he can still play the great football he has in the past. I don't think he's over the hill, but he can't play with minor injuries at this part of his career. At one time he could.
First down, Raiders trailing 21-0. 11 minutes plus remaining in the first half. And stands Mueller in motion. Has good deep speed, and they like to throw to him. This one underneath to Mueller. Gets back up, and Simon Fletcher and Mecklenburg meet him at the 42-43. A gain of about 9.
He's going to have to continually throw to try to get field position. All the way through this, the Raiders have started with bad position and failed to really generate much. They're going to just have to throw the ball down after down. Their protection's pretty reasonable. They're getting a zone defense. They have a pretty good idea what Denver's going to run. A single, what they call cover 3 zone. So they just begin to methodically attack that. They've got a chance to get back in it.
Schrader and Berline as backup. No, they won't see many man coverage. And that the Bronco defense, they're a zone team. Second down 2. Marcus shooting up the middle near midfield in the first down. Well, he's got healthy legs, quick legs, because he didn't go through the rigors of the summer training. As you'll recall, he didn't sign until the final week of the preseason.
Sometimes you wonder whether the training camp's necessary at all for a Marcus Allen. I'm sure that's how the Raiders felt.
Shouldn't say he signed, should I? He just reported because he wanted to play. He's trying to negotiate with Al Davis. One of the key parts of that negotiation is he doesn't want to play fullback when Bo Jackson comes back.
I think that's what he's been holding out for. I don't know what kind of concessions he got, if any. He wants the team to win, but that fullback spot, he's not built for it.
On first down, Schrader. No one there except the Bronco. Atwater gets a gift. 40, 50, and he's out of bounds at the Raider 43. Steve Atwater.
Well, that was a blown pass or pattern. Because Galt wants to break to the outside, and Schrader throws it for an inside break.
Steve Atwater saying, my, throw this right to me. He has his first pro interception.
But you see Galt breaking to the corner. We're going to get a ball thrown right inside. There's the interception. So we had miscommunication of some kind. You're not sure which of the two. The protection's pretty good. He strides into the throw, but you see Galt breaking away. And of course, Atwater just takes it like it's a punt.
Oh, another turnover, the third of the game. And Elway starts at the Raider 43. And Bobby Humphrey gets very little. Tom Benson right into him.
Well, Benson's been leading the team in tackles. That's one of the few times he's made the tackle on the other side of the line of scrimmage. In my observation, he's been making a lot of stops working along the line of scrimmage behind it. And that's just not going to get it done for a linebacker.
In his own set, meaning behind it, being in your own secondary.
In your own
not
secondary, right,
it.
right. Did I say behind about 4 times there?
Ball at the 42, second and 9. Humphrey and Alexander, the young setbacks, and Golick charges in. We'll see if Elway drew him off. This time it's against Golick. Two fumbles, one that stopped an opening drive by the Raiders, and another deep in Raider territory have led to Elway scores. Elway took care of the third himself on a 46-yard bomb to Mark Jackson. Make it 21-0, and now they have the interception by Atwater as they look for more.
Well, both Piquel and Wise, the two defensive ends for the Raiders, are tall, angular, spot player type people. And right now they've got key roles with no one to back them up. Doesn't have to play the entire game. It's tough to take on those big tackles.
Here's Humphrey. looking for the first down and will be close at the 33-yard line. Golick made the tackle. Well, speaking of desperation, you see number 52 in your picture for the Raiders. That's Lyndon King, the veteran linebacker. He got a call earlier this week out in Honolulu, where he lives. Says, we want you back. He had been cut by the Raiders at the end of summer training and thought he's looking for new life. The former cow chip throwing champion out of Colorado State nearby. So he said he'd come back, give it another shot, and King's going to play a lot today, even though he's only been back in practice 2 or 3 days.
Well, he's a big hitter, and the players' entire roster like him.
3rd and 1. Humphrey diving what will be close to a first down while they measure it out. Let's go to Bob Costas in New York.
All right, Dick, we're looking in now on the Astrodome. Tony Zendejas, who moments ago forced overtime with a 52-yarder, can win it from 38, but he hooks it wide to the left. It was his second try because moments before a 43-yard attempt was blocked, but Buffalo was offside. Zendejas got a second chance, couldn't hit it. They play on. About 10 minutes to play in OT. Dick?
Boy, not enough scoring in that one, Bob. All right, we'll keep you abreast of that game as we go back to action here in the second period. We're at the midpoint of this second quarter. It was a first down, and Humphrey is hit immediately by Golick. The veteran from Notre Dame charging through and makes the stop on the rookie Humphrey. A loss of 3 or 4.
It's hard to believe he'd be available from Cleveland after such a great career. But you see the quickness around behind the block. Very few people can do that. He just skirted around behind the center and beat the guard to the point of attack. So that quickness and that experience pay off. My guess is he's such an interesting, colorful guy that Cleveland got sort of bored with it. But coming to the Raiders, he's in his own element.
That's right. He really does fit the image. Yeah. He's a good guy, Bob Golick.
Destined to be a Raider.
He was warming up before the game today, listening to his Walkman. Elway throws out of the backfield, incomplete to Vance Johnson. Johnson turning a bit late. The ball was there before he really had a chance to sight it. Terry McDaniel on the cover. It'll be 3rd and 13.
Elway had an unblocked man. He had to get rid of that ball quick.
Vance Johnson, a Bronco artist. He's a talented man, not only in uniform as an athlete, but his work on the canvas. And if we get a chance later, we'll share some of his latest with you.
Talks about creativity as a player and as an artist. I guess they have a certain artistic sense to being a receiver.
Elway, who's 2 for 4. Throws it into flat, incomplete to Winder, and flags are down. Bill Piquel was putting on some pressure.
I don't know if all of this is necessary, Dick. All of this movement of Elway. They've been running the ball effectively, and they try to get him all the way outside. That's when he's vulnerable. He's always made his big plays out there, but I'm not sure they need to do it. They've got a good lead. What you're thinking about here is 3 points. If you can just make a 5-yard gain, you can kick a field goal, you've got 24 points.
Penalty is against Denver.
Failing, number 23, offense. Penalty decline, 4th down.
So 4th down and 13 from the 35. David Treadwell has never made one over 50 and is not going to get a chance here as Mike Moran, the punter, comes on for Denver.
And that's one bit of strategy that sometimes people overlook. Just 5 yards more there, and you'd be going for that field goal.
Instead of 52, it would have been a 47-yarder.
You've got a shot.
Bobby Joe Edmonds back at the 10. Moran, who is superb at kicking the ball inside the 20 without the touchback. In fact, he didn't have a ball in the end zone on a punt until the last game of the year in 1988. Went the full season keeping the ball in play. Aims it for the sidelines. And he hits the sidelines. So mark it at the 5-yard line. Oh, he does that well. He told me 2 days ago when we chatted, he said, I don't try for that pooch punt or the high one and hope it'll just bounce right so someone can down it. I'd rather use my regular kicking stride and aim for the coffin corner. He's really out of yesteryear, and he does hit that corner. 5-yard line.
It's an art form.
Looking ahead to next week here on NBC, it all begins with the gang in New York at 12:30, NFL Live, Denver and Cleveland. Cincinnati could be a battle of unbeatens. They're the only two teams without a loss on the AFC side. Cincinnati, Kansas City, Miami at Houston, Indianapolis. That's if Houston and Buffalo ever finish. Indianapolis and the Jets, New England, Buffalo. A couple of late games as well. We'll be in Los Angeles, where Seattle will play the Raiders, and San Diego at Phoenix. So from his own 5-yard line, Schrader. Marcus Allen gets out to the 10. And finally, Dennis Smith, a former Trojan, and maybe a little too much on the part of the Broncos, who wrestle Allen down.
You know, that Denver-Cleveland game should be a great one. With Bud Carson coming in, they're playing defense. They've got the quarterback. They're in Cleveland. This will make it again tough on Denver.
Cleveland, of course, playing Cincinnati tomorrow night. It is against Dennis Smith, a bit overzealous and trying to drag. That was one of those prideful tackles where the back won't go down, the whistle blows, and the defensive player doesn't feel like he's completed his job unless he wrestles down that man with a pumpkin, and Dennis Smith gets the penalty.
Well, between those two safeties, Smith and Atwater, you've got two big hitters. Smith with that experience, Atwater with that young enthusiasm. That's so much of football now, the two safeties stopping the run.
First down to the Raiders at the 26. Marcus again. Down to the 29-yard line. Let's see what's happening in Buffalo. Let's go back to Bob Costas, NFL Live.
Here's the way it ended, Dick. After they had dodged a bullet when Zendejas missed the 38-yard field goal that could have won it in overtime for Houston, it's Kelly to Andre Reed. He weaves his way into the end zone, 28-yard score. Both Buffalo victories this year have come on the last play of the game. They win in overtime, 47-41. What a beauty this one was. Back to Dick and Bill.
Bob, those are the kinds of wins and losses teams don't forget easily. They sometimes lead to championships or disappointing years. Marcus Allen rarely disappoints with the ball out to the 35. A yard shy of a first down brings up 3rd and 1. So Buffalo goes to 2-1 after they lost Monday night to this Denver team, and the Houston Oilers are now 1-2.
You know, Granville talking before the game about I'm not sure what that label is they have in Cleveland now, or excuse me, in Houston now, but how their defense was going to do it. 47 points.
Boy, the scoring, as you mentioned last week, incredible. The high number of points being racked up by teams around the NFL. Short yardage, 3rd and 1. Marcus already with 40 yards, figures to get the call. It is Allen off the right side, and he gets nearly 5, and a first down near the 40-yard line.
A sliding, smooth runner.
Well, I know you're out of breath, but we want to welcome those of you who have been watching that struggle in overtime as the Buffalo Bills and Houston Oilers have finally finished business. You see the score, 47-41 in overtime after the Oilers squandered some field goal chances to win. Here, Broncos of Denver have not wasted any opportunities. They've racked up 3 quick touchdowns in the first quarter, and now in the second period with 4:22 remaining in the half, it's the Raiders trailing 21-0, and Schrader on 1st and 10 scrambles. He's got a lot of running room, and the big quarterback dances out of bounds at the Denver 42-yard line, and a first down. And that's remindful of a John Elway scramble for a touchdown, a marvelous run, much like the one that set up the win in Buffalo on Monday night. Look at this. He eludes the rush. He should have been brought down there and calls out the traffic and makes the final 5 yards like a fullback, and that gave the Broncos their first touchdown of the game.
Well, that was vintage John Elway. He did it last week. He'll do it every game. There'll be one run somewhere that'll make a difference. But the difference in this Denver team now is that running game. It's got the pressure off Elway, defensively and offensively.
Well, Bill Walsh, John Elway also with a 46-yard throw to Mark Jackson. First down Raiders. Steve Smith inside the Bronco 40, and a lot of drive, carrying the whole pile with him to the 36-yard line. Great effort by the former Nittany Lion Steve Smith. Powers and Dennison, 2 of the men that finally get him down for Denver.
The Raiders have sputtered. They've sputtered defensively and offensively. Schrader, I think, is playing his best football ever at this point, making good judgments, throwing the ball accurately. But they're just sputtering. In this case, they're trying to run. 3:40 left in the half. They've got a passing game. You might as well go ahead and throw the ball.
Second down 4. Mueller and Smith are the backs. Play action. Schrader, Fletcher knocks the ball away and recovered by Cragen. A flag is down. We'll see if the play counts. Greg Cragen falls on the loose ball, but it was that man, Simon Fletcher, from the blind side that stripped Schrader.
Fletcher came off that backside.
Number 60, offense, decline.
Rory Graves trying to pick him up, and Rory doesn't have the quick feet. It's a play pass, faking a run. Graves trying to block a real quick man in Fletcher.
And the 4th turnover for the Broncos, who lead by 3 scores. Because of the turnovers, the Broncos with 4, the Raiders with none. Denver started an average near midfield, while the Raiders beginning inside their 20. There's the big reason. 3 fumble recoveries and an interception by Atwater on a missed throw by Schrader. Or misconnect with his man Gall. It was right to Atwater. And Elway's looking for a big one. Goes sideline. And it's Melvin Bratton, who's to the 41-yard line. He's a part of the new faces look here in Denver. The excitement that youth has brought. 18 new players. 13 of the 18 are either rookies or first-year players. Bratton, one of them. He had a serious knee injury in the Orange Bowl his senior year with Miami. And then the Dolphins picked him in the draft. He never signed last year, went back into the draft, and Denver took him in the 7th round. He's brought his 225 pounds and great hands for a fullback to this Denver team.
He's just one of a few. That total turnover of this team is occurring. It's just evolutionary in a sense, because they've got to make a change.
Down on both sides. There's another man, Bobby Humphrey. He's got speed. And he's got some moves. 12 yards for Humphrey, who idolized Marcus Allen as he grew up near Legion Stadium in Birmingham, Alabama.
That wasn't Marcus Allen running. Look at the sliding, slithering kind of movement. Keeping his feet, head up, the same style. Sort of an upright sliding style. And watch the final spin for the extra yards. That's Marcus Allen. Now Bobby Humphrey has had somebody to watch all these years. One of the truly great ones. One just beginning his career, the other winding down somewhat.
It's another Denver first down as they drive for more, leading 21-0. Welcome back to Denver. Dick Enberg with Bill Walsh. Boy, those 49ers are struggling since you left them. Now, you had a chance 10 years with the 49ers. You played Denver and Dan Reeves, what, 5-6 times counting the preseason? How'd you do against them?
We couldn't win a game.
You never beat them.
We had the snowball game. We had the dropped punt. We had the wind blowing last year in Candlestick. But above and beyond that, they were too quick for us, and they beat it.
Well, they let you know about that when we arrived in Denver, that's for sure. Here comes Elway trying to add to the 21-0 lead, and Bobby Humphrey has the catch out of bounds at the 20-yard line. Jackie Shipp, the tackler for the Raiders. Here's a young kid from Alabama who grew up, as we said, near Legion Stadium as we get a little push and shove. Nothing serious. And used to sell Coca-Colas, he told us, at Legion Stadium. He said, all you hope for is to have a good day of sales so that you could quit after 3 quarters and watch the game in the 4th. And I asked him, I said, well, did you always want to be a football player? He said, no, my mother said I should be a musician. He was a trumpet player, pretty good trumpet talent, all through elementary school, and had to sneak away to play in his first football game. That's a familiar story. And he said, the only way I could win my mother's way, I was the most valuable player. I brought back the trophy.
Brought back the trophy. He said he tried the trumpet just recently. Thank God he went to football.
Oh, boy, he's got some talent. They took a chance. He had a couple of broken... he had his foot broken twice during his senior year at Alabama. And many thought he was a risk. But, boy, the Broncos like him, and he certainly looks healthy.
Well, it was really a coup for Denver in drafting him. He wasn't in shape. He had that history of broken bone in his ankle. The scary part of it, a lot of people were off of him because of that. But he didn't work out well. He ran a poor 6.40 in their workouts prior to that supplemental draft. Denver liked him. He had broken Alabama records. He had the quickness they wanted. They had faith in him. They took him, and it looks like a super pick.
As Elway said, it's the first time since I've been here, I've got a back in the backfield, meaning his fullback's bigger than I am, and I've got a man who can go wide. I've never had either. Here's the speed. And on first down. Humphreys near the 10-yard line as the clock runs. 1:12 left in the half. 21-0, and Elway has 2 timeouts left.
I don't think this is one where the Raiders can come back, Dick. I know they did a year ago. Different kind of game. In this game, Denver's dominating physically. And I don't think the Raiders can come back. If they do, they're going to have to go ahead and throw the football. That last hit on Schrader was a play pass with just minutes to go in the half. No reason to play pass block in that situation.
Vance Johnson in motion. Elway gets away again and throws for Jackson. Touchdown. Again, it was John Elway making the play happen. He first had to elude the rush strong enough to kick free and find Mark Jackson for 11 yards. He had hit Jackson earlier on a deep post for 46 yards and a score.
This is one of those plays that are spontaneous that Elway's done probably since he's in the 7th grade. A great spontaneous play.
David Treadwell, the new place kicker for the Broncos, adds the extra point. And with 36 seconds left in the half, it's all Denver.
Well, what Elway does is come up underneath to the outside. Meanwhile, Mark Jackson's running down the field, a normal pattern. He breaks. Elway throws all the way back through the traffic. Super spontaneous play by Elway. Up underneath to the outside, but watch Jackson. He knows just what to do, breaking back inside. Nice touch throw up over the top. That's greatness.
Elway running and throwing the ball has had a remarkable first half, and the 28-0 score reflects that. A long attempt by Edmonds. He gets to the 19-yard line, turning it out of his own end zone, and it'll be first down for the Raiders at that point. Well, the right way here in Denver is the Elway in this first half, running and throwing 28-0. Back at Mile High Stadium, rebuilt and revitalized, Denver leading 28-0 and capitalizing on the turnovers. 4 of them, and 3 of them resulting in touchdowns as they picked off 3 fumbles and an interception against the Raiders. 31 seconds for Schrader and the Raiders, and trailing 28-0. They're going to try for something. They send 3 wides to the left. And then they screen it up the middle to Marcus Allen. He is a terrific talent, but gets only 11 yards out of it and fumbles, and it goes out of bounds. That was a live ball.
What a player.
Stops the clock.
Marcus, with that history all the way through from University of Southern Cal to this, just great competitor with stamina, win or lose. And we've got greatness on the field in Marcus, and certainly in John Elway in Mecklenburg.
Time running out on the Raiders. Catch by Mervyn Fernandez, and he's whistled down by Atwater, the 6'4", 215-pound rookie safety. And that's the end of the first half, and the Bronco fans loved it all. John Elway enjoying a superb first half. His defense got him the ball 4 extra times. It leads to a 28-0 Bronco lead.